And next on the agenda?
Yes, there was a draft of a proposed chicken ordinance. Back in late May, early June, the City Council asked the administration to prepare an ordinance to allow hens in the city. And so Monday night, I presented and reviewed a proposed ordinance that would accomplish that, and I just go through and just highlight some of the important points of it. It's limited to 6 hens, and it's limited only to single-family residents, homes. And there is a annual license that would be required, $25 for those 6 hens. It also prohibits any commercial use such as the breeding of hens or egg production or the sale of eggs and that type of thing. And there are reasons listed in terms of why a license could be either denied, suspended, or revoked. Like making false statements on the application, failure to comply with a notice violation, and those types of things. If there is a revocation notice issued, that the homeowner would have 7 days to remove the hens from the premises, and then there's an appeal process to appeal that decision to the city administrator's office. Again, I would note that it's limited to 6 hens, no roosters are allowed, and limited to only single-family homes. There are some regulations associated with how the hens are kept. They must be kept in a chicken coop enclosure, as well as a chicken pen or a fenced area for them. That fencing area and coop must be located at least a minimum of 10 feet from the property line. It is only allowed in the backyard, and it must be at least 35 feet from any residential building or church or school or any other dwelling that is occupied by human beings. The chicken coop must have at least a minimum of 4 square feet per hen, but it cannot exceed a total of 120 square feet for all 6 hens. It does require there to be a predator and bird-proof wire mesh or screens, and that it must have an independent electrical heat source that is available without the use of an extension cord. And then, of course, the access doors to the coop enclosure itself must be placed inside in a situation where it is easy to get in and clean the coop out.
Did you say a heat and cool controlled environment?
It'd be electric or heat source.
Just heat.
Heat source.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Sometimes they also provide lighting, but usually in the wintertime, the hens do require some form of heat. That must be provided, though, without the use of an electrical cord. It must be a permanent electrical wiring. Obviously, there are some language in here regarding orders that are generated from that must be eliminated. That the manure must be removed at least once per week. Feed and water, particularly the feed, must be secured and stored in a fully enclosed, rodent-proof metal container, and that that the noise from the hens should not be loud enough to go beyond the property line. So, and then there are a couple other prohibitions. No person shall keep hens on a vacant or uninhabited property. No person can keep a rooster, and no person can slaughter a hen or a rooster within the city. So
You can't harvest your own chicken for supper.
not in the city,
Not-
you can, at least according to the
So is that by
provisions here.
Arkansas
So-
that just came out?
Yeah, so there was some discussion and some questions asked of the council members, and then after a period of give and take back and forth on comments and questions, the council voted, I believe it was
4-3.
4-3, to refer the ordinance back to the agenda for official consideration. The ordinance was not presented as an ordinance. It was presented as under the committee of the whole as a discussion issue, where ultimately then it was authorized to be placed back on the agenda. I believe it will be at the first meeting in August for an actual vote on the ordinance itself.
I'm sorry, I believe that was a 5-2 vote, actually. So, yeah, and I would encourage residents to contact their alderman if they have concerns about the livestock and the associated potential odors and predators associated with that, raccoons, possums, and those types of things. They have concerns about that. I do encourage them to express those concerns to their alderman. That's my chief concern. Responsible owners, this probably won't be an issue, but if we do not have responsible ownership, I think it could become a problem for people who live next door to those. Our lots in town are not that large. It could provide a negative impact on people, next door to those types of coops. And I believe it's going to place a burden on compliance for the city. Our already limited resources. I think adding another source of inspections and compliance and could also pose an additional problem.
How will you enforce it? Whose job will that be?
Well, unfortunately, it becomes a part of the zoning and code enforcement department, who also deals with junk and debris and mowing and rental inspections and building inspections and some other things I'm sure I'm forgetting. So
It'll spread the manpower resources that are available for enforcement of other codes and ordinances of the city.
So what prompted your decision to put this on the agenda? Do you have citizens who would like to have hens in the city?
Well, the alderman asked that it be placed, and yes, we've had 2 presentations to council by a couple of citizens that wanted to have urban hens, chickens in their backyards. So
Okay.
the council's responded.
Okay.